Welcome to the B&E Show, America. No, the world's #1 fixed wireless podcast, hosted by yours truly, Benjamin Tansky and Errol Kapalian.
Hello there. How's everybody doing today? Another day here at
Fantastic.
Wi-Fi. We did it.
We
Now
have a special guest jumping on board. He's having a little technical difficulties, but hopefully shortly we will have a special guest, and I will have the pleasure of introducing this fantastic individual. His name is none other than, let me bring him on board here, Thomas Schaefer from SMI Corporation. Welcome, Thomas Schaefer, to the world's #1 fixed wireless podcast.
Hello, Benjamin. How are you doing today?
Fantastic,
looking handsome,
Thomas. Oh, thank you. Flattery will get you everywhere, won't it? So we have Errol Kapalian right above
man.
there.
Welcome.
Yeah.
Hey,
Hey,
nice to finally meet you via video chat, because I know Benjamin a lot in real life, and now the camera doesn't do him justice.
Years and years of email conversation finally reaching apex here. So thanks for coming on. Yeah, we got a good show today.
Yeah, so we posted. I posted this poll on LinkedIn a couple of days ago. A simple poll, a really straightforward poll. Does diversity mean the same as redundancy when talking about connectivity? And what business verticals are embracing fixed wireless today? The most important part is really the first part of the question. Does diversity mean the same thing as redundancy? I mean, Thomas, why don't you give us a little background on what you do, Thomas?
Yeah, thank you, Benjamin. I'm a sales engineer, a salesperson, mostly in a sales technical leadership position here at SMI Corporation, and I look to design a lot of these extraordinarily diverse and redundant and self-healing networks. So I think it's important that you kind of elaborate on the difference between diversity and redundancy, because I think it's a common misconception.
Indeed, it is. It's a, people are completely thrown off balance when their quote unquote redundant connection goes down along with their primary. Like, why did that happen? Why is this happening? Time and again. How many times have you had clients that have two connections, maybe they even from a different point of entry or PoE in the basement, and they go down? Why do they go down? Is it because they go to a central vault underground nearby, even though they're from a different PoE in the basement? Perhaps.
I mean, if you take a step back and think about the sheer size and cost of, if you wanted to put in a new manhole, it's $500,000. So a lot of times, even in bigger, shinier buildings, there's multiple manholes and multiple entrances and multiple PoEs. But in a lot of the markets and a lot of the buildings, there isn't as much physical path diversity. So there could be a manhole fire or an electrical fire or a steam pipe that, causes major issues. That I think 3 or 4 years ago, there was a steam pipe by 2 blocks north of 111 8th on 8th Ave, and it cut through 6,000 strands of fiber. That impacted tens of thousands of customers. And the thing is, the steam pipe's under 2,000 pounds per square inch of pressure, so it'll cut through concrete and metal and anything. So in that particular circumstance, it was a 2-week to 3-week outage because the fiber crew was standing by, but the critical services, i.e. power, water, sewage, were all ruined by the steam pipe and by the fire. So they couldn't restore the fiber until they restored the power or the sewage. So those are circumstances where, I think you have to take a step back and say, okay, when, Rome freezes or burns, who's the partner that I want to trust and put my trust in? And that's kind of where Natural Wireless has really stepped up for us, because there's been a lot of times even where we, had designed something custom and then an outside plant guy cut a corner or, whatever it was, and it didn't lend itself to having the right amount of diversity, where unequivocally, with Natural Wireless, they're coming from the roof down and everyone else is coming from the basement up. So you're getting that diversity.
Absolutely. That's I know. Didn't even think about that part, with the sewage and the power and then the lines. Let me play a quick a quick shot here. This is just what, you know, that's a manhole. That's a steam hole explosion. That's what it looks like, you know. Sometimes they're worse, sometimes they're not as bad, but that's what people see, and that's catastrophic for a business, right?
Absolutely. Especially, you know, it's like, I think COVID kind of pushed a lot of macro trends that were going to happen anyway. And, you know, if you think about the shakeout is like, although COVID's passed, if you look at an example like, you know, Chipotle, it's like pre-COVID, it was a couple hundred mil of online revenue. Now it's 3 to 4 billion. And although the in-store sales are up, the online sales are up. So it's a function of, as a business without the internet, you can't function. Your securities, everything about your business is internet driven, internet focused, and internet forward. And you're going to be an internet business, whether you like it or not. So you might as well have something that works, or you're going to have major challenges.
See, that's absolutely, I mean, the takeout, the online stuff has skyrocketed. Really, do you see any, you know, I don't want to put you on the spot here, but I'm going to maybe a little bit. Do you see any specific business verticals that are embracing fixed wireless, or is it more of a holistic, you know, all business verticals are looking for that, you know, sleeping better at night, knowing that there is true diversity, not redundancy?
I think we've seen a macro trend in growth everywhere, and there are specific verticals that have more risk to their underlying business model that are adopting as much diversity as possible. And diversity, not redundancy, I guess.
Excellent. I mean, listen, we've been working together with at SMI for many years. You know, we have I think we have a great relationship together.
Yeah.
I want to share a picture here. So this is a client that, let me know when you see this screen pop up here. This is actual footage, pictures taken from an on-site visit where over the weekend there was a massive fire in this location, and it knocked out service for everybody. So that's just, you know, this is the remnants. This is what happens after the fire, right? So Errol, you were there for
I
this.
remember this.
Yeah,
I remember this phone call.
So your feet are in the next picture. Are these your shoes?
Excellent. They might be my shoes.
Those are your
That's
shoes,
how you
dude.
know who did the survey, whose shoes are in the picture.
So if you look at this, so this location had, I'm pretty sure it had fiber, it had coax, and maybe even had old T1s, but at the time, you know, it didn't have fixed wireless up on the roof. But you know, this is one of those instances. Hey, can you get on site right now?
Yep.
Right now. So Errol, you know, your team was there. I mean,
yep, we had to deploy that day, which we did. I mean, it was one of those. What was crazy about this is because only half the building burned, right? So the other half was still safe, and they had people working, but with no services. So they said, "Listen, we need these people here, otherwise we won't have the money to rebuild the place." Right? So you got to get here now, and we did. And it also brings up that, you know, we talk about diversity. Diversity is a design concept, right? It's not just like, you know, you have to look at all of your services in terms of diversity. So we're talking like, we also, Natural Wireless will put its router and its equipment usually in a separate location from your main MDF room, right? Because part of the problem is that what that picture was a burned down MDF room. So the services to the street melted, the MDF room melted, right? And the good news is, sorry if there's, you know, things in the back here, but we had our equipment in a separate location now, so that if God forbid anything happens or there's a water leak or something, all your services don't get obliterated, right? You have backup, and after they did this, these guys did some.
I think Earl, it showcases two things. One of which is the fact that in most circumstances, unless you're like a big New York City financial tenant or healthcare tenant, even if I have complete diversity as we had built in this case, everything collapsed to one MDF room.
Exactly.
So even though I have path diversity, physical path diversity, upstream diversity, end-to-end diversity, they didn't have the money to build 2 IDF, MDF, 2 server rooms and have 2 racks of switches for every device and all that other stuff. So when the fire happened, it was kind of like, why is this happening? And it's like, oh, well, your switch, all your telco gear and your routers and switches are on fire. Like, I
Yeah,
can't,
there's nothing we can do about that.
pass traffic. So I think that's important. Which
Sorry.
there's nothing I can do. I've had customers call and be like, "Hey, we don't have any power, but we don't have internet either." And I'm like, "Oh, does the router have power? No. Okay." So I think
What do you want me to do
more
there?
importantly,
Right?
though, it showcases like it's one of those aha pinch me moments that you like look back in your career and think of like, wow, imagine finding a business partner where it doesn't take 4 to 6 months to get something installed.
Exactly.
And when you really need it, when you're saving a business, who's going to be there, right? Who's
Who do
going
you
to
trust?
who
Do you trust?
one of the other microwave providers? Prior to working with Natural Wireless, we had worked with a different microwave provider, and they were much bigger in terms of revenue, but everything was outsourced. So whenever there was a problem, it was like, oh, we have to send this to, like, it was completely different experience. The network was down all the time. So, Natural Wireless, the diversity that you guys provide is fantastic. And on top of that, you're putting 2 radios on every roof as opposed to 1. So you have 2 lines of sight with a mesh microwave network. It's just a completely different offering than anything out there in the New York metro, because I know, we've been around since '87, right?
Yeah,
It's like the
you guys are
first Sonnet
huge.
ring.
Yeah, you guys are huge. SMI is huge, man. You think of the
Pretty amazing.
Fortune companies. You guys are there.
And I've built I've built 4-inch conduits to diverse manholes up diverse sides of buildings, and this is like millions of dollars of work, and that's not in scope for 99.9999% of any business in New York City, right? Like maybe for a standalone hospital that is willing to spend 40 grand a month to do all that stuff, great. And then still there's challenges, right? But most businesses don't have the risk appetite to have an outage. It'll ruin their business, right? Like all right, you're a pizza place or a bagel place or you're a XYZ place, and you can't get orders for a couple business days because Spectrum is down. It's like you can't pay your rent. You're out of business. You have to take on debt. So like that in and of itself, knowing that like we found a business partner that shares the same core values, they care, they go the extra mile, they stop at nothing to make things happen. It just helps me better solidify my relationships with my team, my customers, and it's a true partnership as opposed to like, hey, give me an order. So, seldom do you find in 2022 a business that has that cares and will go the extra mile like Natural Wireless. And to me, that means more than anything, because anybody could buy a bigger, fancier router or buy another entrance or whatever. But when shit really hits the fan, who's going to be there to hold your hand and who's going to, tell you to call the 1-800 number?
That's so important, support and just, trusting who you work with and knowing that they got your back, and, it works both ways. Yeah. Listen, I mean, we've been on for about, 15 minutes almost, but, I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know you're super busy. I mean, is there any other pieces, any other elements in working with Natural Wireless or working in general with fixed wireless that you can just let people know? Like, does fixed wireless work for your voice and your data and your video? Maybe some people have concerns about that. Have you seen people use fixed wireless for those applications? I would venture to guess, like,
Yeah.
go ahead.
We've had a lot. Go ahead.
No, we got you. We were trying to see if we still had you.
Yeah. For some reason, my signals got a little choppy, but we've had a lot of customers who went to buy and didn't have enough lead time, and they're using Natural Wireless as the primary. In the decade or so that we've worked together, I can count the outages on one hand, and that's because of the dual path microwave mesh network that you guys have. It's truly unparalleled by anything else in the milliwave space in the New York Metro, period. There's no questions asked. I mean, I'll go toe to toe with anyone and argue it till the end of my career that you guys are the best.
Fantastic. I'm going to quote you on that, Thomas.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm gonna get a plaque. I'm gonna get a plaque on my desk, dude. That's awesome. I like that. I like that.
I appreciate that.
That was me being true. I mean, listen.
Thank you.
Hey, listen. Anybody who knows me knows I'm no bullshit. So like, that's me being sincere with you guys because, I truly value the partnership. So I really appreciate the time today too, you guys. So
likewise, Thomas. Thank you again very much for jumping on. Have a great day, man. Be good. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Errol.
Well, thanks, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
cheers. Bye.